Hello and good afternoon, and very welcome to this very special Town End podcast show. Of late, there's been a lot of talk around the town of Dundalk FC fans mobilising and getting themselves organised. So we're going to take this opportunity to speak to one of those individuals who's helped set up the Dundalk FC Supporters Trust group. To go along with this and to ask a few questions along the way, welcome in Steph. And from the Dundalk FC Supporters Trust, we welcome Brendan Ogle. Brendan, welcome to the show.
Good afternoon, Chris and Steph.
How are you? Brendan, we'll go right in from the very top, and we'll go with the simple question of why now? Why set this up?
Okay, well, yeah, simple question. First of all, for you guys, you're on the screen. Welcome to my cabin here. So I'm glad we're on a screen because I might be doing a bit of I'm a bit unwell, but I'm able to do this. But if there's a bit of spluttering and coughing and germs flying around, I think you should be secure enough where you both are. So
no problem.
Not 100% certain of that. Now we're going to test out some epidemiology here while we're doing this, but hopefully the two of you will be okay.
Brilliant.
So I suppose why now? Well, you know, I could turn that back and say, why didn't we do it 30 years ago? Because we should have done it 30 years ago. I suppose, you know, just taking it into the current era of Dundalk Football Club, we've had 4 owners in 4 years. And there's probably going to be more. And, you know, the club is it seems to be a perpetual state of crisis. Even when we're doing well on the field, and we've had some great times in the last 10 years, crisis has never felt far away. And in the current crisis, I think people are worn out. You know, waiting for the next owner and the next owner and the next owner. And will the owner talk to the fans? And will the owner not talk to the fans? And will there be a board? And will there be shares? And can we have a new ground? And can we not have a new ground? And who owns the ground? And everybody is fascinated by these very, very important questions in a way that I don't think is the same anywhere else in Ireland. And I've lived in various places. I've lived in Athlone. I live in Dublin now. And, you know, great football people. I've great football people who are friends of all clubs. Grey Rovers fans, Bows fans, people in Athlone I know, people in Sligo, people in Cork, Finn Harps even. But there's nothing like Dundalk. In terms of the passion that the town and it's the soul of the town. I think everybody would agree that. Even people that don't go to Oriel Park, even people who just they're there, they look up at the floodlights, they know they know it's there, and then a cup final or something comes, and suddenly we've 25,000. You know, over half the population of the town heading up to the Aviva Stadium, and that only Dundalk can do it. But there's a view now, I think, forming that we, the townspeople, need to come together and provide a safety blanket for this football club, because this football club, one of these times, I hope this isn't the time, by the way, but one of these times, these fires are going to put out our football club. We're not going to continue to have lucky escapes indefinitely. We're not going to continue to have dysfunction in terms of how the club is managed indefinitely. We're not going to be able to continue to have some of the practices that I think are common practice now. Look, one basic thing is the question about whether players get paid or not. You know, that shouldn't even ever be a question in a town like Dundalk, where the club is the soul of the community. So I think, you know, a few of us got talking about this, and, you know, we looked at various models, and we think that the trust is the way to go, Chris. And why now? Because if we don't do it now, it might be too late. We should have done it a long time ago.
Yeah. Go on,
yeah, no, just one from me then, and obviously, you know, Dean Arrowsmith, who's on the show with us on the podcast, he's obviously was involved in the original trust. Well, I don't know exactly if it was original, but in a trust going by not too long ago, and it was obviously disbanded. Do you think that should have been progressed on, and if they had have, you know, found ways to get that up and run, do you think that should have went ahead, or do you think now is the right time for the trust to go ahead, Brendan?
Yeah, we've been communicating with Dean. He's been very helpful. He's off there in in Chicago, but he's in constant communication with the people involved in the trust and with yourselves and everybody passionate about it. The trust wasn't incorporated, so I suppose we get to the question: what is a trust? And it's to some people it's just a word. This trust, it has now been incorporated as a limited company. A certificate of incorporation issued at the beginning of the week. It has 3 interim directors, and it is a legal entity. And the previous incarnation had all the same motivations and well intent, but it wasn't a legal entity. And at some point then, as that crisis dimmed and better times came along, it was relatively easy for the trusts to kind of just disappear. And I don't really want to get into how it disappeared. I wasn't there, but it disappeared anyway. This is a perpetual trust, which has now been incorporated as a limited company on the guarantee. And the idea is that this company, this limited company, this trust, is a perpetual trust. If we want the Dundalk Football Club to be a perpetual beacon in our town, then we're going to have to start thinking that way. And this should be there after we're all gone. This should be there for our kids, for our grandkids. And it needs to be able to do things properly and legally. It needs to be able to, first of all, obviously the intention is to raise money. We can talk about that, I'm sure. And the intention is that all of the money will be available. And the word available is very important here. Available for Dundalk Football Club and its activities. We're not raising money for anything else. The trust, the limited company, is not allowed under its constitution to raise money for anything else other than Dundalk Football Club and its activities. That's its business, if you like. And that money then becomes available to the football club in exchange for something. What is the something? The something is good governance. That's what the something is. So we can go up and we can meet owners. We've met owners before. And we can get promises. We can get commitments down the road, and we'll put someone on the board. We'll set up a stadium development group, and we'll do this, and nothing happens. Nothing happens. Stadium is worse now than it was when I started going in 1977. We had 3 stands in 1977. We've only 2 now. We had a grass pitch in 1977. I don't know what we have now. So the company is set up in a way that it has money which will be available to the football club from the townspeople, because that's who the trust members will be. And that's an open book. There'll be no barriers to anybody. And everybody that contributes will be an equal member of the trust. So the townspeople are basically saying, we will make money available to you, football club, in exchange for good governance. But good governance won't be just talk. That's why it's a legal entity. The trust will be able to enter into formal agreements with the football club. We will give you X for this, and this will have to be delivered. And it has to be delivered because there will be a legal agreement between the trust and the football club that it would be delivered. We grew up in an era, and maybe to some extent it's still going on, but I grew up in an era where really well-meaning people, my dad was one of them, but there's been loads down through the years, walked the streets of Dundalk, collecting money, brought it up to Oriel Park, and handed it over to the owners, also really well-meaning and good people. But there was no formality to it. There was no transparency or accountability to it. And some of it was well spent. And we hired people like Jim McLaughlin, and reading Dermot Keely's book makes it all clear. The money was well spent. The Quinns, the McGuills, really salted the air people who ran the club in my dad's era. But there was no transparency. And then when different owners come along from time to time, The lack of transparency and the lack of accountability is what catches us out. And it seems, we'll see what happens with this particular owner, and I don't want to jump the gun, it's early days, but it seems that this lack of transparency has become a pattern over a number of previous owners. So I don't know what that's about. I just know that it keeps leading us to a crisis. And if, as we say, I think we all say it sometimes, you know, we are the football club. You know, we've all said that. We've all sat in the wee house and had a pint and talked to our mates or wherever where you sit having pints or coffees or whatever you do. And said, so we're the football club. And I say it too, you know. It's time we started behaving like it then. And so that's why a trust, as a limited company under guarantee that can make money 100% available to the football club, but in exchange, informal exchange for good governance. That's all we want. All we want is the football club to be well run. We don't want anything else.
Yeah,
Sorry, that's my the internet just went there for a second. So, Brendan, tell us exactly where are we right now with this? Obviously, there was a meeting before this in preparation. How far down the line are we with this new supporters trust? Who's part of this group that you can mention so far? And I suppose what are the structures going to be of this group for people to be able to contribute?
Yeah, well, there's when anything new is being formed, whatever it is, there's always this kind of chicken and egg moment whereby somebody has to do something to start it, or it doesn't get going.
Yeah.
But if you do too much and decide too much too soon, people feel excluded. And what's the point of joining that? And whenever you form anything at all, that chicken and egg moment and that balance of somebody having to do something but not doing too much, keeping it open and democratic, is the balance that has to be struck. So what's happened so far anyway is, I suppose a number of people were talking, and I seen Tony O'Kane. You asked me for names. Tony O'Kane is a person with a lot of experience in actually running the football club, being the former chair of the football club. And Tony wrote a post about a model that he had in mind of something that needed to be set up. And you know, the 1903 originally, which is interesting now to think about it, asked me, because I'm a former chairman and founder member, to put some thoughts down on paper for them. And I was about to do that, and then someone else said, "Did you see Tony's post?" And I read Tony's post, and I give Tony a ring just to see where he was and what was I reading what he had written in terms of a model the way I thought it was. And I was, and me and him had a conversation, and we were very much on the same wavelength. So we and other people were having conversations, and I put a few slides together. I checked them out with Tony that they reflected his views as well, and they did. And we, adjusted a couple of things, and then we gave them to the 1903. And the 1903 then had a meeting with John Temple and got back to me, and they were very open about it, to be fair to them. Wrote to me telling me that John Temple had asked him to do nothing for 3 months until December, so that they wouldn't be pursuing it. And thanked me for my efforts and said they knew I'd be disappointed. And disappointment doesn't come into it, actually. So I got back to Tony and Jerry Lennon, and who was also a founder member of the 1903, and my own brother goes to games. John, some people know him as Bobby. And it seems everybody knows him as Bobby except me, actually. So people were having discussions, and people close to the club, people like Stephen Neary, the Shedside Army, Cormac Gartland, I went to school with Jackie, Jimmy Neary. And then we said, there was a kind of view forming in these conversations. There isn't 3 months to waste. 3 months brings us to December, and we need to do this now. Tony McBride was very supportive, accountant there in the centre of town, and he's the secretary. Tony is the secretary of the trust. Paddy Malone is also on board and helping us with some professional work, and we've got solicitors in that as well. So there was a view, in 1903 have agreed not to do it for 3 months, but this needs to be done. So people got together in the last 2 weeks ago, week and a half ago, in the Spirit store, and I'm not sure. I think it was 21 people there in total, I think, and a decision was taken that day anyway by those who went there that the trust would form. So where we are now is the trust has been, as I say, incorporated as a limited company. It has its company registration number. A website is under development, and the domain address has been procured, and a landing page is now in place. It's DFC Supporters Trust.ie. There was a vote among the people. The WhatsApp group started. I think there's about 40 or 50 people in that. So they voted on what the domain name would be. Again, trying to keep it democratic, and people have joined that since. I've seen Alan Gray there joined it the other day, another very respected. I remember going to the Celtic matches with Alan in the 80s, so that's a long 70s, even the 80s. So, and then what do? We don't want to run too far, so we have to present a plan. So there's a town hall meeting has now been convened on Friday the 25th of October, Friday the 25th of October at 7:30 in the town hall. It's a public meeting, so it's open to everybody. And it will be, all what's been done today will be explained, and we'll be dealing with the questions and providing answers if we can. Still at that point, the club, the trust doesn't have members. So, but it's been envisaged that immediately after the town hall meeting, the club will start taking donations. And at the moment, people have been pledging support in amounts, and that's been very encouraging, given that it's basically a WhatsApp group at the moment, and people doing some work behind the scenes. I think we're over 30,000 in pledges just from that now. But so and I think we know the people. I think those pledges are solid, certainly from the majority of the people we know. But from the town hall meeting immediately, it will be open to donations, and anybody that donates will then become a member. And whatever you donate, they'll be an equal member. So this is about what you can do to help. It's not about I donate more than him or her, I want more votes. It won't be about that. Mm-hmm. And then the membership there will be a membership meeting called to decide the constitution and elect the first committee or the first board. So all that has to happen. None of that's decided. But it's going to happen. There's serious goodwill. And I have to say, and I'm not an accountant, I'm not a solicitor, I'm just a fan. Mm-hmm. But there's serious professional expertise behind this that people are giving just through their own goodwill. So it's going to happen. And I really, really hope that long after we're gone, that somebody will look back at this era and say, we've had now 4, 14, 24 owners in years to come, but the trust is there, and the trust is, as I say, the safety blanket securing good governance in our football club. Long answer, I'm sorry lads, but
I know it's better to get the more information out there, I suppose the better. And obviously Brendan, the last couple of weeks has thrown up a few different people obviously the 1903 have made a suggestion about running something similar. Obviously a couple of us know that you've already raised about the trust being a legal entity. Do you think that will be a stumbling block for the 1903 with the membership plan? They've obviously they're obviously bringing to the table as well. And then, the snippet we seen yesterday from the current owner, John Temple, about him sort of toying with the idea of a 500 member club, along the lines of the trust itself. Do you think we should be combining all these together, or like what's your thoughts on it, pretty much?
Well, I don't want to be critical of anybody else, and I do see that there are people, online tweeting and targeting the trust, people who support Dundalk Football Club, and I just thought, what are you doing? What is your agenda here? So, look, I'm a founder member of the 1903. I'm the first chair, and I'm the person who drafted the rules, and I'm not going to go into it here. I've written to the 1903 as a member. Wrote last week and I wrote again last night. Because I think I think there's been so much dysfunction around the football club that we almost nearly expect dysfunction now. And if something is run right, it kind of looks out of place. Because people are used to dysfunction. And I'll be talking to the 1903, as I say, I've written to them because, the 1903 do superb work, but it has to be done in accordance with their rules. That's all I'm going to say on that one. The rules are there. And, I've already outlined the background to how I ended up doing the slides. And who I did. I was asked. I didn't sit down and say I'll do. I was asked by the 1903 to do them. I didn't ring them up. I was asked to do them, and I did them. And then they entered an agreement with John Temple, which is fine. And people are saying to me, "Wouldn't it be all great if we were all together?" Of course it would.
Yeah.
But that's come by Alec. We're talking about Ireland and Dundalk here. Okay, so of course it would be great. It's like saying, wouldn't it be great if we'd know the global warming? Of course it'd be great, but we have it.
Yeah, exactly.
So that doesn't mean we don't do the right thing. I do remember when we formed the 1903, and Brendan Behan has written about this. There's plays and books written about this phenomenon. When we formed the 1903, the first thing that happened was somebody else went away off and formed another supporters club. There and then, everybody decided at that point we needed a 1903, we needed a new supporters club, so we went away off and formed a supporters club, and the first thing that happened was somebody else went off and formed another one. So now we form a trust, and somebody else wants to form another one.
Yeah.
Well, that's okay. We go and do it then. But if it's a 1903, it'll be done in accordance with the 1903 rules. Because they exist for a reason. They were voted on by the members for a reason. And as to John, look, we have picked this model. I don't know John Temple, and good luck to the man, But the reason why the trust has set up this model is as follows. We've looked at other models. We looked at Sligo Rovers and the 500 club. First of all, we've done 500 clubs and things like that before. And we're in a crisis now. So it didn't work, did it?
No.
If it worked, we wouldn't be in a crisis now.
Yeah.
But if you look at the Sligo situation, Sligo supporters are superb. And about half the population of ours, and they get behind their club and they raise phenomenal money for the club. But they do everything.
Yeah.
They take care of the merchandising. I think they take care of the coffees and the chips. They take care of everything. And those behind the trust have decided we're not setting up the trust to run the football club. We're setting up the trust to be a guardian of the football club. We're not busting John Temple's door in saying we'll run this football club for you. John decided to buy the football club and he wants to run it. And good. So And before that, it was someone else, and before that, it was someone else, and before that, it was someone else, and be someone else the next time, whenever the next time comes. So that's not what we want to do. Unless, of course, the trust ever decides to buy the football club, but that would need a big rule change in terms of the trust, and that's a different conversation in some future period. That's not what's happening now.
Yeah.
So, you know, the trust, for example, none of the monies that the trust raise can be given for any of the current debts.
That's important, isn't it, Brendan?
Huh? We want to support the club going forward.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want to. We're not here to clean up somebody else's mess. So, you know, if there's a 500 club or whatever, you know, I would, just me, you know, I'm not a rich man, but far from it. I'm okay. I'm lucky to have a good job, but I live on my wages, you know. And there's an amount of money that I have that I would be prepared to commit to Dundalk Football Club, which I love and which is in my heart. Like, and it's an amount of money, whatever it is. Everybody will have, you know.
Yeah.
And it's very limited amount of money, and I want to commit it to something that I know will work. I want to commit it to something that's going to be here and is going to sustain the football club after it's gone. And I want to be able to trust that whatever limited support I can give as an individual, and I'm just talking about me as an individual, is well used. And we're not in another crisis next year. So look at, people are saying, you know, are you surprised that there's splits? I'd be surprised if there wasn't splits. It's inevitable. You know, all my life and everything I've been involved in, the first thing you have to do is get over the split, you know. But we're just concentrating on focusing on doing our business professionally, getting the foundations correct, getting the model correct, and then talking in a very open and transparent way in the town hall to the townspeople, and looking for them then to take this over, fill it up, and elevate it to what we all know Dundalk people and the wider catchment area are capable of giving to this football club. And we're not interested in slagging anybody off. And if people want to get the rocks off by slagging off the trust, break a leg, lash your way. We won't be doing it.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, you just touched on the public meeting. Obviously, we're encouraging everyone to go down, even if you can't pledge at this time, just even to get the information. But sort of, what can people that go attend the meeting, what can they sort of expect the sort of running of the night, and if you can give us any information on that, Brendan.
Well, look, we don't know how many is going to attend. We have the full town hall is available, so it will start on time, 7:30. We won't be giving out any freebies or goodies. We will explain. I don't know who, but I think I do know who to explain, but we'll keep it for the night. It won't be me anyway. But it will be explained, the model, where we are now, and now, you know, that's a week and a half from now. So there will be other things happening between now and then as well, in terms of setup issues. It will be explained. And then there are questions. So I think today or tomorrow, we're going to be sending out a method for people to send in their questions to the trust. There's going to be an email publicised in the next. In fact, I can tell you what it is now. It'll be live, I think, in an hour or two. The email will be media@dfcsupporterstrust.ie. media@dfcsupporterstrust.ie. And people can send in their questions, whatever they are, and we'll sit down with the interim directors of the trust, and we'll get answers to those questions, and they will be presented on the night. And then there will be, I'm sure there will be people connected with the football club, past and present, who will have things to say. And then, we'll have an open and very honest discussion with anything that anybody wants to raise. And then at the end of the night, people will make their own minds up and they'll be asked to sign up to the trust. So, we haven't got it all boxed off, Gary, and Steph and Chris, but it'll be along those lines anyway. There'll be no secrets. There'll be nobody jumping out of a Santa outfit. There'll be no free pints. There'll be nothing like that. But there will be an honest and open discussion, and the people who are involved in this. And look, I'm only one. The professionals behind this, I'm not one of them, So they'll be there on the night too. And we're basically looking for the townspeople to get on board.
Yeah, and obviously we'd encourage everyone to go down, even just to get the information. I think information is key if people are going to invest and get on board with this. I think the information is vital. But look, Brendan, we really appreciate you taking the time today to come on and have a chat with us. You're like Joe Rogan with all the podcasts you've been on the last week or so. But
I know, I've only done this. I'm only done you, and others are doing most of the heavy lifting, to be fair. But I felt that I should just do this one,
Yeah, no, we really appreciate it. And just my thoughts on the trust, I heard a good Chinese proverb, and it was like, when's the best time to plant a tree? And it's 20 years ago, but when's the second best time to plant it? Is tomorrow. So, just along those lines, I think we need to just all come together, if possible, back this trust, in my opinion, and move forward. Like we said, the guardianship and the safe hands. If we're the support system to keep the club moving forward, keep the club in existence. I think that's the most important thing for me, anyway. So, best of luck with the meeting on Friday the 25th, 7:30. It starts at sharp, so everyone get there early. And thanks very much, Brendan, and appreciate you coming on, having a chat with us.
Can I just say one final thing, Dev? Dundalk is a small town, and in international, so Ireland is big enough, but we love each other and we hate each other. We all know each other, or we know someone. So everyone knows someone to know someone, and that's a strength, and that's a weakness. And I don't, people talk and people say things about people, and everyone likes and this doesn't like. And to me, we're from Dundalk, and we support the town. And I'm just saying that I kind of carry with me that you don't have to see eye to eye to stand shoulder to shoulder. And this football club's future needs the townspeople now to stand shoulder to shoulder, regardless of anything else. So I just ask people to just consider that. We need to stand shoulder to shoulder. We don't have to even like each other. But this football club puts us on the same pitch, and we need to stand shoulder to shoulder. And I hope everybody that loves the club will come to the Town Hall next Friday night.
Yeah, all for the greater good, as they say. But yeah, look, we'll share that email and the information on the public meeting that you're holding. So we'll put that out in the post later on, so everyone's aware, and a reminder as well. So yeah, best of luck, Brendan, and I'm sure I'll see you there on Friday night.
Thanks for the opportunity, guys, and we're back to bed now.
Thanks, Brendan. Look after yourself.
Bye.